Hello and welcome to the Fjuka road trip. This week we're down in sunny Essex at the lovely Lake John Fishery, not too far from Waltham Abbey. This venue is stuffed to the rafters with bream, carp and a real array of different species, so it should be the perfect place to put Fjuka through the rounds. We've also got a real array of anglers on the bank today, some carp anglers, some match style anglers and some pleasure anglers. Let's go and see how they're getting on.
When I was at 13, 14, 15 and I was at Spurs as a YTS, cleaning the football boots for the old players and that, and I went to Whitfield Grammar School, which was quite a good cricketing school. I never picked a ball up or a bat up until I went there, and at the age of 13 I started, all my friends went to cricket so I had to go and I went all right, and then from there I went on to play for Middlesex schools and Middlesex twos, and then I went to Australia and got 10 wickets, came home and managed to get myself injured, so that ended my career. So while I can't really play cricket at a higher level now, every chance I get I come up here and fish at Lake John, because it's a good place to fish, and it's easy for a man who's not really a good fisherman or experienced, but Cole goes round and gives me advice and helps me out. To show you how pretty poor I am at fishing, when I first came here, I used to ask Colin what was the depth of the lake, and Cole used to say, taste, put your hook in your trainer, pull the float up to your nose, and that's how deep it is. And that's what I used to do, and I used to catch some good fish. I think it's brilliant. For actually to be able to mould a bait onto the round to hook, I thought was a great idea. I mean, I was using a small hook. To mould it round it was quite an easy task, really. It's quite the yellow ones are quite successful here for me today. Nice 17-pound carp come out with it. I've caught some tench, some bream, and a nice sized carp today, on various colours. To be fair, I caught the carp on the yellow, and then some bream on the lime green, and then a tench on the orange. I think it's great value for money. Great value for money. I mean, there's loads in the bag. There's loads. It's fantastic value for me. For £1.99, what can you get for £2 fishing? Can't get a lot, can you? Everything's quite expensive, but that's great value. When I used to fish, when a little while ago, all the bait I left, I used to throw back into the water. You know, and if you can do this and it's resealable and you can save it, brilliant. That's what I like to see.
So this would be now our 27th year of running the fishery, and I met Karen. I used to work in a little unit next door, and a neighbour of ours was taken quite ill, and Karen used to help out with this was a pig farm. Used to help out with the animals, and obviously the sad passing of Karen's father fell in line with when I sort of met her, and so there was this fishing lake potentially about to happen with no one to run it, and I sort of turned up. I don't know, ironic timing I suppose, and yeah, so they say the rest is sort of history. We've been running the fishery, you know, we've had our children here, and I'm now a grandfather of a year, so yeah, it's become a bit of a lifestyle job for us, and it's been enjoyable. It's been, you know, we couldn't have wished for better, and we've been very lucky. We work very hard, and we've met some fantastic people along the way, and you know, what more could you want? One of the nicest back gardens in Essex. So this is the first time I've seen the bait, if I'm honest. It's quite interesting. It allows you to do, it's quite a versatile sort of bait. You can mould it around, and you can maximise it and bulk it out. It works very well, very conveniently packaged as well. I like the tubes with the hooker baits. That's quite nice. It's all nice and clean and tidy. And with the 2-in-1 feed, I think it complements very well. So yeah, no, it's a good product. It's a mixed fishery, so we've got all types of fish. We've got some quite big tench, bream. Our carp are quite legendary. I had a text message from a guy that fished here last week on Friday. He's had 41 carp in a single session, and 6 of those were over 20 pound. So they're big fish. Our biggest ever recorded fish is 46.4. That was caught probably about 7 years ago now. Now it hasn't been seen since, if I'm honest. But big fish, as we know, go a bit nocturnal. So, and people do hook fish that they don't land. So my beliefs are the big fish are still in here. But you know, I think the anglers have got to be a little bit more cleverer now to catch them. So it's yeah, I mean the fishing currently is on point. We've obviously had our COVID lockdown. The fishery's been rested, and yeah, it's been fishing great. Our biggest ever fish caught on a pole made headlines probably 8-9 years ago. It was a bank holiday Monday, and Matthew Hart was on peg 33, which is just across the way, and he's landed a fish of 30 pound on a pole, and it made Fisherman's Blues that weekend. Keith Arthur was talking about it, and the angling papers got hold of it as well. So, you know, the carp in here are big in size, yeah.
Well, I started fishing about 11 years ago with a friend of mine's husband. We went to Centre Parks and we started float fishing, catching roach. Really enjoyed it and got into it. And then when we came back, we came up here and started fishing at Lake John, which was really good, and I've been fishing here ever since. I think it's the relaxation of just sitting outside in whatever weather, but it's relaxing. But I also think it gives you a buzz when you catch the fish, especially if you catch carp. Today I'm leisuring and I'm using a hard pellet and I'm wrapping around it the neon baits, and I've been quite successful. I've been more successful with the orange and the yellow baits than I have been with the white and the pink ones. And I've managed to catch 2 carp between 9-10 pound and 7 bream. I think if you're a top of the range angler and you were spending thousands and thousands of pounds on rods, reels, whatever, I think it probably could be quite expensive. But I don't find it very expensive. I just buy reasonable priced rods. The actual price of fishing isn't very much, and the licence is only £30 a year, so no, I don't think it's very expensive sport, no. So I think a lot of baits, you see the prices are going up with baits, and you might only get a tiny little pot and it costs you maybe £6 or £7. And I think, yeah, it is quite important that the bait is cheaper. I think the colour probably attracts the carp as opposed to just having the pellet on there. So I would use a topper, a coloured topper anyway. I have a friend who is a part-time angler. She doesn't come out every week, but she'll come out maybe once or twice a year, yeah. About the same sort of age as me. You don't often see many lady anglers. It's quite unusual over here, just pleasure anglers, but you do on the odd occasion. There's a few that you do see come over here. When girls are smaller, it isn't something that people think, I'll take my little girl fishing, but they do say, I'll take my little boy fishing. But I think really that would be it. If you could encourage youngsters when they're smaller to go fishing, I think maybe that would help.
Skimmers in here, down half pull. I want to tell you a little story about this place, because it's certainly my favourite southern venue, but if there's one venue I could pick up and move 100 miles closer to where I live, it'd be this place. And the reason is it's full, not only are these lovely skimmers, but it's also got a big mixed head of tench. There's a lot of carp in here, and a little bit of everything really for the match angler to enjoy. It's a proper mixed venue, and that's what I love about it. But the first time I came here was actually to practice for a big competition called the Drennan Knockout Cup. And I want to just tell you a little story about it, really, because I got it horrendously wrong and learned a massive lesson from that day, which fortunately I was able to put to good effect when it came to the actual match proper, which I went on to win. So what happened was, I actually drew a peg on the far side of the lake we're on today. And speaking to my mates who fish here regularly, they all told me that the venue's got a big head of big carp in it. And I mean fish to, £30 plus, as well as an awful lot of £20 plus fish. So what I did, I came down fishing for these carp with big lines, big hooks, big elastics. And the result, to be honest, was disastrous. I hooked 2 of these big carp, but they were that big, they just smashed my tackle to pieces, broke my line. And perhaps more importantly, I also lost an awful lot of skimmers because my gear was too heavy. So it was too light for the carp still, but too heavy for the skimmers. I bumped them and I went away really with my tail between my legs thinking I'd have been much better just fishing nice and light, balanced tackle and catching everything that swims. I thought, if I do hook a carp and it breaks me, so what? I'm still going to end up with a good weight of the silvers. So I went away with that thought in mind, and I came back the following week to practice again, fishing much lighter. And the sort of tackle I use is the sort of tackle I've got on today. We're talking 017 mainline to an 013 Preston Powerline hook length. And a size 14 Camazam B911. And then to complete the setup, just a strung bulk above the hook length, and I've got a Richie Wilson carp dink on today, the float wise. But yeah, the idea was balanced tackle that would land me the bream when I hook them. As you can see, as you saw with that last one, they do tend to jump out of the water a lot here. So you do need something that is soft enough to cushion them when they go on that initial run. But what actually happened, not only did I land pretty much every skimmer that I hooked that day, but also when I hooked into the bigger carp, which happened twice in the first sort of hour of the competition, I hooked 2 great big carp. Because I got light balanced kit on, I landed the fish. I was able to let them go on their initial run without applying any real pressure. I just got the 10 hollow elastic on, same as I've got today. Use the puller kit to strip them back. And then, because I wasn't applying that much pressure to the fish as I was when I was using the heavier gear, they came in a lot easier. They came in more comfortably closer to me, and I was able to net them fairly quickly. And so I actually achieved the best of both worlds by fishing light, balanced tackle. Now obviously it's not possible everywhere. This venue lends itself perfectly to it because A, it's shallow, so you want quite a light elastic, otherwise when you strike the fish are going to be splashing on the surface and cause you all kinds of problems. But more importantly, there's not many snags here. The fish can run out into the lake, you can follow them out with your pole if you need to, you can take your time and you can land them on balanced tackle. It'd be a bit different if it was a snag pit or somewhere with a lot of, say, features that you had to keep the carp away from. But one key tip that I'd give you that I've learnt here at Lake John that you can take away, when fishing for mixed species, in open water where there's not so many snags, fish light, balanced tackle. Not only will you land more of the fish that you hook in terms of silvers, but also, you've got a fighting chance when you hook bigger carp. The harder you pull them, the harder they'll pull you. So it's just about fishing balanced gear, taking your time and landing everything you hook.
Started fishing when I was young and then had a bit of a break when I got into my teens for a little while, and then started again probably about 10 years ago. Got back into it, started coming over here to see Colin. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've won a few matches over here, so it's probably, especially with some of the superstars that come here, so it's quite a good achievement for me really. Yeah, it's been fishing really well today. I've just fished it on the pole. I tried pellet waggler, but I couldn't get on with that today. But yeah, just been fishing on the pole, just at a short length. It's been going good. So I've got a bed of micros down and we're fishing over the top. And trying all the fellas, they seem to be going fine. All of them seem to be fishing today. and they seem to stay on hook very well as well. So some pump up pellets don't stay on very good at all. Well, I find they don't, but probably some people can do it a bit better, but no, they all stay on the hook quite well. Even on the pellet waggler, when you're chucking it out, they're staying on there, they're not coming off. Yeah, I like fishing pellets, so I'm not like a pellet, they're sort of made a bit different, but it makes them stay on better, I think. And they're good bright colours, I suppose that might help as well for visual.
A question we seem to be getting sent a lot on Facebook is how you rub different baits together, and I know a few people have been having some difficulty with it. I think the common mistake that people make is they think you can just squeeze the baits together and they become one. It's not really like that. Think of it more like pizza dough. What you've actually got to do is roll and knead the baits together. It doesn't take long. It might take, I don't know, 15 or 20 seconds to really work a bait together, but the key is to flatten and roll each bait into each other, and then keep doing it and keep turning it round. Just like if you were making a loaf of bread, for example, and you were kneading some dough or making pizzas. It's that sort of action that you're looking for. Rolling, kneading, and eventually in about 15 to 20 seconds, all those individual baits merge together in one. And obviously, you can then make a bait of any shape or size which you can use on the hook. Another question I want to address is all to do with bait colour. So, 2-in-1 and Neeonz are unique as bait goes in that they're all the same flavour. Very often, obviously, you see a red bait, it might be, for example, strawberry flavoured, or white might be white chocolate, for example. Not the case with Fjuka, it's all the same unique sensate flavour. However, what this allows you to do is really experiment with colours. And I know that a lot of people have messaged saying that they haven't caught on one particular colour, but they have on another. So it's really important to bear that in mind. What I like to do for a mixed session on a new venue is actually mix the 3 colours together, some red, some yellow and some white. And what you can do is then switch between the colour that you have on the hook to find out which is best on the day. And you'd be surprised, I mean, sometimes yellow baits will be brilliant, on other days white or red. It really does vary what colour is best on a given day. And of course, don't forget, if you're catching on one colour, then it goes quiet, don't be afraid to change to a different colour, because sometimes switching colour mid-session is a great way to keep bites and fish coming. So there you have it, folks, the awesome Lake John Fishery. For more information on the fishing or facilities on offer here, check out the website on the link below. Or for more information on Fjuka Bait, you can check out their website, or buy the bait from Amazon or your local tackle shop. Thanks for watching.